Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Comic Book Nostalgia. I'm CB Nostalgia, and I thought we could talk about episode 3 of She-Hulk and the Wrecking Crew. Well, we got a new episode of She-Hulk, and with that, an expansion of the Marvel Universe once again. Now, we knew the Wrecking Crew was coming this season based on the trailers, and this week they did not disappoint. The most interesting thing is, though, they may have revealed a major villain coming to the MCU. Let's take a couple minutes to talk about what happened in this week's episode and break down who I think the Wrecking Crew is working for. Remember, if you haven't seen this week's episode yet, I'd go ahead and click away and come back after you've seen it. We'll be talking spoilers, and I don't want to ruin this episode for you. This week was a pretty big win for Jennifer Walters. She won her first superhero case, getting Emil Blonsky paroled from the Vault. Where this goes throughout the season is hard to tell as of yet, but there was a little interesting scene there with the Wrecking Crew that I thought we needed to break down. Now, when Jennifer encountered them, they actually tried to steal her blood, and we're going to talk about this in a minute, but I think it's a major plot point for the show. Now, just like in the comics, she totally clowned them. Don't get me wrong, every once in a while the Wrecking Crew is kind of pretty badass and have their way with some heroes, but they almost always end up getting slapped around by the hero, and that's exactly the scene we got in this episode. Now, if you don't know who the Wrecking Crew are in the comics, this version was, well, I would say reinvented. But the team itself made its first appearance in 1974, way back in issue number 17 of the Defenders. Now, the member of the Wrecking Crew are the Wrecker, Pile Driver, Thunderball, and Bulldozer. And, just like in the comics, all their powers and abilities come from those super-powered construction tools. Although in the books, they're not Asgardians. Now, they spent most of their Marvel history taking on the likes of the Avengers, the Defenders, with the God of Thunder himself being probably their main nemesis. If you look in the number of issues they've appeared in against She-Hulk, it actually numbers pretty high, and she comes in a close second. Now, during their encounter this week, the She-Hulk actually asks them if they robbed an Asgardian construction site, to which they reply, yeah, kind of making it pretty clear these are a different version. They also are kind of wearing sort of standard street clothes versus their costumes in the comics, which I have to say sometimes come off as pretty silly. Now, I have to say, I really do like the reinvention of the characters in the episode, and I didn't mind them not having their costumes. Most importantly, their items of power kind of worked on screen, and I am curious on where they're going. Now, Jessica Gal talked a little bit to Den of Geek about reinventing the crew and the restrictions Kevin Feige put on them when doing so. She said, "We always just pull characters and then come up with what we want to do with them. We put it on paper, we send it over, and Kevin really decides whether he likes it or not, and he'll give you notes. But he's generally very open with giving us creative freedom. He always says that he just likes ideas if they're good. A lot of people say that, but Kevin genuinely means it when he says if he likes the idea, then it's fine. He doesn't care where it came from." So it appears the reinvention of the characters and where they fit in has already been run by Kevin Feige, and that suggests to me there might be plans for him in the future, and I think that's tied to their boss. If you watch the scene, you notice by the end of the scene, they mention the boss is not going to be happy. And I think that's where the real story is here. Now, I do believe there's a couple of possibilities, so I thought we could break them down from least likely to most likely in my book. Now, we do know Doctor Doom is set to play a pretty big part in the MCU in the near future, and traditionally in the comics, his reach is far and wide. Additionally, his interest in Gamma Tech is also very well documented, and I would not be surprised at all if he was interested in Jennifer's blood. Now, to me, he is a possibility of that boss figure, but the least likely of the three. The second one involves the nature of these villains in the comics, and often they're street-level villains. And with street-level villains in the MCU, that could mean Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin. We all know Vincent D'Onofrio is coming back for that Daredevil series, and he's also part of Echo, so there are clear plans for the future of the Kingpin in the MCU, and throw in the fact that Daredevil is part of the show, all the pieces are in place. Since the Wrecking Crew's boss is trying to get a sample of She-Hulk's blood, it very well could be Wilson Fisk trying to weaponize the Hulk's power, or even use it to heal that wound inflicted on him by Echo at the end of Hawkeye. But it's clear the Gamma-infused blood is at the center of this, and Gamma itself is the path that I think we need to follow, leading me to the most probable candidate. If there is one staple Hulk villain that fans have demanded returns for years, it's the mastermind of Gamma-infused criminal plans, the Leader. Samuel Stearns, played by Tim Blake Nelson, has not been seen in the MCU since 2008's Incredible Hulk, and his addition and return to the MCU could have pretty wide impact. We speculated for a while that there could be a gamma-powered future coming to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the leader would absolutely be a key to this. He often in the comics employs other villains, and the Wrecking Crew definitely fit into that framework, and he's even used them before in the books, so this would make a lot of sense. We know Marvel is putting a lot of plans in place, and having the leader as one of the pieces on the chessboard at this point could be massively important. I think the big story for the whole series is going to be this particular character and who their boss is, so we need to pay attention to that because I think that's where the big reveal will be. Now obviously we're going to cover everything She-Hulk moving forward as well as the Wrecking Crew. And I know you want to get all the updates, so make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, but until we know more, what do you guys think? How did you feel about this reimagined version of the Wrecking Crew that showed up on the She-Hulk? And who do you think their boss is? I'm telling you right now, I really do believe it could be the leader. Tell me what you think in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure you hit like, click subscribe, and if you don't ring that bell, you won't get any updates. Peace.